Letters from World War II sealed right in a canister for 7 decades. The love story of Sam and Mary Swan was one for the history books. Their daughter Melissa, whom you know so well from WHAS, spent 30 years on the air on this very newscast, sat down with our Brakash, revealing their story untold until now.
It's no secret, stories from the greatest generation are fading with every passing day. Of the 16 million Americans who served in World War II, only 300,000 are left. Some of their stories documented in film, others in museums. But for Melissa Swan's parents,
let's see, they were just stored in here in this potato chip can for decades.
More than 100 letters covered in dust, untouched for 75 years.
My dad was a soldier in the Army in World War II.
The two were inseparable until the war tore them apart in 1944. Sam was 22, Mary just 19, and pregnant with their first child.
So he started out as a cook in the Philippines when he got there. But soon, the battles on the Philippine Islands, everybody was in battle. This one talks about the D-Day invasion.
Revealing a history far greater than the one Melissa had known when her parents were living.
We'd never read them. We would ask my mother if we could read the letters. At family gatherings, we'd say, oh, let's get the letters out. Let's read the letters. And she was like, oh, they're all redacted, they're boring, you don't really want to do that.
Their contents kept secret until this year, when Melissa decided it had been long enough.
And they weren't boring. They were just intensely personal. But as much as they are a love story, they're also a history lesson.
Their letters would be delayed for weeks at a time.
So one day he writes, I got 16 letters today. And he's so happy because the letter before that was saying, what am I, the forgotten man? I never get a letter.
It was the beginning of what would be a 73-year marriage.
If they wanted to say something suggestive, they'd say, you know what I mean, wink, wink. The way he teases her, the way she scolds him, the way, all of that still goes on, even though they're thousands of miles away and could be gone tomorrow.
At times, the couple had nothing, not even $1.
He asked her at one point for $3. And at another point she said, I didn't need all the money you sent me. I have $1 left over, so I'm sending it back. And to think, $1 bill. That's what takes my breath away.
Comparing their struggles with today's?
We have no idea. There are a lot of parallels with this pandemic, with women working as there were during World War II. Mothers had to find childcare. If the childcare fell apart, the job fell apart.
Never knowing when it all would end.
You'll see the Red Cross stationery that we have that he wrote from the hospital.
Toward the end of his service, Sam suffered from bleeding ulcers. Doctors doubted he'd ever make it home.
They write letters, October. I'm sure I'll be home by Christmas. November. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to be Christmas this year. Some days I would just have to walk away.
The last letter in the pile, nothing short of heartbreaking.
I figured it out yesterday and finally have concluded that nothing short of a miracle will get me home before February. Sort of disheartening, isn't it? I guess I was merely stargazing before. Even though I can't be home for Christmas, do me a favor and pretend I'm there with you. I will be in my dreams. That's next best.
And while we don't know when Sam finally came home to Mary, we can smile knowing he did.
They made a wonderful life for themselves.
In Louisville, Brooke Hash, WHAS 11 News.